We'll start with the daily chart. Understanding the range today, it's FOMC, so 700 to about where the 5-day MA is. That's simple as it gets, all right? If there's going to be any major move, it'll break out of these areas. These are the likely tested areas today, um, and anything in between. Um, Most likely to be a nothing burger today, all right? So do keep that in mind. It'll be better tomorrow after the news comes out. We'll see if there's any nice follow-up, right? The upper Bollinger Band is trending up, so there isn't a possibility to go too much further than 700 um, 5-day MA, right? That's going to open at higher price around the 692.50, 693 level. Um, so yeah, just understand that it's probably going to be a nothing burger today. That's your range. Looking at the daily, or sorry, the multi layout, the 30-minute chart, right? You'll see where the liquidity is if this wants to dump. It'll line up with the 5-day MA break, with the yellow algo, 5-day MA turning resistance, yellow algo and blue algo break, right? So we'll watch to see if that occurs. Um, it's unlikely that happens today, um, but we'll keep it in mind. Um, any strong buying that happens with the news, FOMC, we'll watch the yellow algo become support, right? So watching to see if this happens to the upside. It's possible. So just keep that in mind. It may not just go 700. If it's to go farther past 700, you'll watch the yellow algo become support, right? Um, so yeah, that's basically all we're watching for today. On the 30-minute, right? On the 1 minute, you'll see I have some algos present already. We'll see if there's anything early, right? Any early structure. If there is going to be something early, let's hope it's selling, um, right? That'll be the easiest to trade. If it's a grind up, or stays within a range early, which is more likely to happen, you know, we'll wrap it up. But yeah, for a lot of new traders today, um, today's just a day to really relax and not trade. Instead, observe, watch what happens, right? Um, it it's likely not to be a great FOMC either, so there just may not be much opportunity today. Today's IV is going to be really high as well. So if you've not traded an FOMC prior, which I'm guessing you all have, um, there's that to keep in mind, right? Contract premiums are going to be a lot more expensive and are going to require a lot more to move in value, right? So it's very important to keep that in mind. Yep, so upper Bollinger Band opening up at around 699.40. 5-day MA 692.75. These will continue to trend up for today as well, as long as price continues to trend higher. Okay, so one play we will likely see if there is anything to happen early would be that head and shoulder back to the gap fill from yesterday, so 695.49. If there is to be something early, that's what I'd watch for. So if the selling comes now early, oops, wrong thing. If it comes early, right, wait for a retracement. You'd want to get to this gap area here. Probably the only trade early on. Okay, so we do have a selling precision. Okay, so ideally, we break out, retest it like this, right? Teal becoming resistance, orange rebuilding some liquidity for a continuation structure, and head to the downside. Um, Probably the only play early, right? If it doesn't come early, just come back later. If you are going to trade FOMC, I would recommend, well, if you're very new, not trading it. Um, but um, for anybody here who is planning on trading it to scale down tremendously, like 10 to 20% normal position size. If you catch the move, it will be much more than enough. Um, for anybody who's attempting anything else, um, please know what you're doing if you're trying to open up any kind of straddle or strangle. Know your levels. It's better to open it up right before the meeting. Um, though that's for a different conversation, though. Um, I would hope that anybody here who's thinking that they're going to make a lot of money today does not think that way. Instead, if you're very new, just watch. Watch what happens today to prepare for tomorrow. Today is not a day where you're attempting to make a lot of money, right? Most pro traders sit out today, right? You wait for the follow up. Okay, so currently just selling in teal, not in green. This isn't very ideal to be looking for a trade here. Um, More so was hoping that green would push through that teal, right? That didn't happen. Okay, so far not much happening. That there is a green precision here, but it's not truthfully activated yet. For any long side, if it's just not deep enough of an inverted head and shoulder, um, it's just not going to be worth your time. Just to be honest with you, it's yeah, the IV is just too high. Um, yeah, it's just not gonna be worth your time unless we dig deep, right? If you had this, right, this would be much more ideal to go long off of. Okay, well, this activates the precision. Try your best to wait for supports to become resistance. Ideally then. There's an even stronger precision here as well. Ideally, you'd wait for this, right? Or if it comes within the blue, down here, right? Okay, so if we stay within this, right, this is liquidity building. Within either of these, it does not matter, right? So just keep that in mind. Right, so at this point, you could understand if this is just all liquidity, that you'd wait for a head to form, right? Any pre-FOMC trade, you need some sort of imbalance. That's large enough to affect the premiums on the contracts. Yep, so just right now it's chopping around magenta, and pink algo containing price. The nice thing about a chop is you get to find the algos sooner. Makes it very easy to identify. At this point, right, it's going to be safest to just wait for hopefully one of these areas to first be tested. Right, if the market wants to dump or make a move towards to the downside, right, for the upside. Or vice versa, you could see how these could all form heads for inverted head and shoulders. Right, so if then there's supposed to be a head, you'd see a lack of continuation from these areas. Right, very simply. Okay, so early chop isn't the worst thing to happen in the world for FOMC. Um, it's expected. Honestly, at this point, if you weren't looking to trade FOMC, it's already best to wrap up. Um, I don't think there's going to be much unless we retest one of these two areas, right? You test one of these two areas, you look for continuation firstly, but obviously then to see if there's a lack of continuation forming a head to the upside or downside, right, afterwards. Right, so if we're likely to sell, retest this level, right, there will be a move right here after the retest of 696.50, returning this into resistance, right? So you'd see that possibility. And then if we lack continuation down here, right, the inverted head and shoulder will also form. So waiting for that, and then remember the vice versa play. If this is to break out of here, right, you'd first look to see if this occurs. But if this lacks continuation, right, and breaks out of magenta, you'd see how this would form up. And those are truthfully the only things you could probably trade beforehand. Anything before that is not worth your time. Okay, so just try to keep an eye on watching this become resistance. If it stays within the pink, it's still chopping. Ideally, you just see this as a range. That's lacking volatility because of the pink in control. Alright. And that's exactly why you wait for pink to become resistance, right? So any move needs to happen in these areas, right? Right? Still within the pink. Green is guiding, but you gotta wait for that pink to become resistance. Okay, so if you are within this area, guide with green, right? Know where you have to cut. I'm going to move the blue precision over. I'll move the teal down here. Right, the first target is going to be the gap fill, right, towards 695.49. Guide with precision. All right, so the entry 1008, 1009, those aren't bad at all, right? Those are good entries. Seeing the resistance coming in, pushing it under, already guided within that green precision, makes it pretty easy, right? Okay, so hopefully you're protected by now if you did take that. IV still, I mean, obviously isn't great, but that trade was worth it for sure. You definitely could be making decent money on that trade. If you did, right, best entry within this area, right, you see the resistant wick coming in, pushing under while in the green precision, right, you have an idea what's going on. Um, Pink becoming resistance here, right, within this area. Either of these areas is completely fine. Okay, green precision break. Right, stops should have been activated there. Um, with futures, you can do it slightly different, but with option contracts, you have to cut on precision break, right? All right, just to explain the prior move in an illustration, right? Pink was guiding this move all the way down, or guiding the liquidity building, right? But the green precision appeared with magenta break, right? So this is where you start to watch, right? As you see the volatility increase to break it down, right? We had the pink, right? We had its confirmation, right? And we had the green precision with magenta break, right? So there was enough confirmation already for you to be able to enter the trade on the break here, right? Okay, back into the wedge at this point, right? If it comes back within this area, just be very careful, right? I would have preferred the deeper head, right? This would be still better, honestly, into grabbing this liquidity. Right, where this whole thing would become an inverted headed shoulder. This would be the microstructure below, right? This would be the macro. Okay, so at this point, right, we're going to lack imbalance. Just be patient. Uh, come back for FOMC. If you made that trade and want to see if there's something, do not go red. Um, as simple as that, right? In FOMC, it's mostly a trap. Truthfully, it's mostly a trap through the whole entire session, right? Um, the move always comes after a retest of the high or low to break out. So you always wait for some sort of precision to appear, attempting to break out of that high or that low. So vice versa, right? It will look something like this. It's always an inverse cup and handle or a cup and handle with precision appearing, right? Um, very rarely do you ever see it happen cleanly. So spotting the precision, waiting for the right opportunity, getting a very good fill is very, very important. They trap so much liquidity today. Today, though, likely to be slower, right, than most other FOMCs because we lack a larger range, but still was possible to play. So, but like again, if you're new, I will recommend you do not trade it. Um, yeah, it's just always going to be better up for the follow-up. So, all right, with that being said, I am going to get on out of here. Hopefully, everybody here had a good session, was able to see that trade. If you did not take it, study it. All right, plenty to go over. And yeah, all right, take care, guys.